Well, welcome everybody. It's the International GT Open. It's round 6. It is Monza. We are here back in Italy once again for 70 minutes of racing here at the Autodromo Monza. And there's plenty of action ahead of us. 11 turns in total, 7 to the right, 4 to the left, with certainly some long straights as well thrown in between. It's a rain-soaked day. The spectators out and about. Umbrellas have been aloft, but it looks like they can put them down for a moment, although albeit there is one gentleman there with his umbrella held aloft, that's for sure, but it's not going to dampen the spirits of anybody. This race is going to be special. As you can see, all the cars all on the grid getting ready to get set for a wonderful GT Open race. Coming into this one, Yannick Mettler was the man who topped qualifying in a very dramatic event, certainly indeed, as the rain came tumbling down. The lap times came tumbling down as well as we came towards the end, and Yannick Mettler was the man who landed the top end spot. There's going to be plenty of contenders looking to turn it around, much like the man who's on the front row with him, Leonardo Polcini, currently chasing the championship title, and 2 Oregon cars currently separated by a single point heading in to the what can only be described as a real pressure cooker environment towards the end of this season. There you can see Yannick Mettler there in his car. He's going to be partnering up with Dexter Muller for this race event, as he has done all season long. An excellent display in qualifying has certainly shown that they have got the pace. Alongside him, though, it's this man, Leonardo Polcini, the Italian, who certainly dazzled us over the course of this season, did lead the championship at the very start. Unfortunately, it's the other Oregon car that currently leads at this point. In behind as well, we've got Axel Jeffries. A bit of a change of colouring on the car, but nevertheless, Axel Jeffries very much, or just as quick as he's always been. Of course, he is going to be looking to try and enlist a real positive start here at Monza. Alongside him, we've got the debut this season of the Dynamic Motorsport team. Ricardo Kazaniga is lining up in 4th spot, and wonderful to see them as part of the championship here too. Very, very good start in qualifying, got themselves right up in the sharp end, and that's exactly where they need to be. Moritz Kranz lines up in 5th place as well, partnering Janine Schaffner as always. She's been very busy in the paddock and always a smiling face, Janine Schaffner, and there's Moritz Kranz as well. A bit of a wave after a wonderful display. He was also on pole position for a brief period until Yannick Mettler came along and took P1. Carol Bash, another one we expect to see at the sharp end of things too, a very tenacious and quick driver, chasing the Pro-Am title, which of course has really boosted their hopes because Thieber Motorsport aren't here due to a damaged car. There is the Olymp Racing Ferrari belonging to that of Christian Korzanowski, who once again returns to this championship, looking to put in a stellar display on his stint, as I'm sure he will do, very quick behind the wheel of a race car. Next up, we have the other Oregon team driver, Kevin Gillardoni, who partners up Glenn Van Berlo. They're starting from 8th place, and they, of course, scored a big win at Austria for race 1. They're looking to do the same again this time. You can see there as well, we've got Sebastian Boe in P9, the Mercedes Get Speed Performance team, who are looking to chase the big points here once again. You always see Steve Jans and Seb Boe in the sharp end. Keep your eyes peeled on them. Another team making their debut this season, it's Imperial Racing with James Rowe lining up for them in P10. A bit of a wave from James, the Irishman looking to get a big, bold start here. And now highlights from Red Bull Ring. Race 1 got off to a cracking start. Michele Rigolo, though, didn't have the best of starts, running off into the gravel trap as we commenced racing at Spielberg. Unfortunately for Andrew Gilbert, he took a bit of a spin after a collision with Christian Korzanowski. That didn't help him out whatsoever. Murat Çağrıoğlu was certainly right in the thick of things too. There is the Thieber Motorsport car, but it was a spin on Steve Jans that would cause him to turn at Remus, but Kevin Gillardoni and Glenn Van Berlo taking the victory in race 1. Race 2 got off with a bang too. How about Carol Bash leading the way with him behind Joe Osborne, also in the thick of things. It was also Max Herfer who was also in the fight too. Unfortunately, it would come between the pair that they would spin. Marcin Jedlinski, unfortunately, being forced off into the gravel trap. And then a big collision would happen around turn 1 as well. At the restart, Thieber Motorsport, that was the car that could not quite come back, unfortunately, and hence why they're not here. As we're now seeing as well, the cars making their way up towards Remus. It would be Leonardo Polcini who took victory in race 2 alongside Ben Jahites. And now that has brought us to this point in the championship, folks. It's getting really close at the top end. Ben van Berlo on 99 points and Kevin Ghilardoni alongside him too. Leonardo Polcini and Ben Jahites a solitary point in behind them, with also only 5 points off the Optimum Motorsport team. Well, race one very shortly about to get underway, folks. Just to say, if you haven't done so already or know, my name is George Morgan. Joining alongside me, Ian Silvestrin. Ian, getting set for this one. This should be a cracker.
Perfect words, perfect description. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, George, and welcome to the home of Italian motorsport. The field set off on a wet circuit on the formation lap. Let's go down to pit lane.
Yannick Mettler, that was a good way to start the day with a great pole position.
Absolutely. I mean, we were quick yesterday. I had a good feeling, but then the rain cam was very unexpected, or we didn't have an idea where we are. And I heard on the radio on the first flying lap, that it was P1, so I had a good feeling and kept on pushing. And yeah, Monza is a good place for me, obviously.
You just told me that you had fun and you were P1 throughout the session, so you had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, just stuck to the rain line from the beginning and was trying to get a feeling for the grip and just enjoyed it really, you know, and the lap time came itself. And in this rain session, it can change towards the end, so I was a little bit worried somebody would improve, but yeah, it was all safe as it seems.
Well, positive words there from Yannick Mettler. That was after he took pole position in qualifying earlier on this morning, but it's a different story. Obviously, we're in race conditions now. Here is the starting grid for this race. Yannick Mettler is on pole position with Leonardo Polcini alongside him in second. Third place, that goes to Axel Jeffries in the Ferrari, with Ricardo Cazeneiga alongside him too. In fifth, it's Moritz Kranz in the Mercedes with Karel Basch in the Audi R8 GT3 Evo. In seventh is Christian Korzanowski in the Ferrari alongside that of Kevin Ghilardoni. The second Oregon car is up in the top 8. P9 goes to Sebastian Boe. Alongside him is James Rowe, making his GTOpen debut this season, with Bradley Ellis in 11th too, with Martin Conrad in the Manfilter Team Landgraf car, lies up in 12th. P13 goes to Florian Scholze, alongside that of Animo Seika in 14th place. P15 goes to Nick Moss, who will soon be handing over to Joe Osborne when the driver changes happen. He lines up alongside Giuseppe Cipriani in the Lamborghini. In 17th place, Erwin Zanotti, with Laurent de Meus alongside him in the AF Corsa Ferrari. In 19th place, we got Yao Liang in 19th, with Murat Çaradaroglu alongside him in 20th. Pascal Bachmann will line up at the very tail end of the field in the Aston Martin GT3 AMR for street art racing. But conditions, the rain still coming down here. Obviously now we'll be very shortly getting underway. As usual, we've got a rolling start here in GTOpen. What are your thoughts, Ian?
Well, firstly, I'm thankful that it's a rolling start, because I think a standing start in these conditions down into the notorious Turn 1 chicane at Monza would be a recipe for, well, let's say it would be interesting. But we do have a rolling start. We're just a few moments away from the start of race one. This is the penultimate round of the 2022 championship. The Mercedes on pole position. Leo Pulcini, P2 in the championship by a single point. George, we have to watch throughout the course of the race. Kevin Ghilardoni in car 19 back on the fourth row of the grid. He is the championship leader, sharing the 19 Oregon car, which dominated at the Red Bull Ring by just a single point. Mettler for SPS Motorsport on pole position.
Yeah, absolutely right. There you could see his teammate as well. Dexter Muller watching on, hoping that they'll have a big day today. They could well do, as long as they can keep it up at the front. Very shortly you'll hear the rumble make its way around the Parabolica, and they'll be commencing racing action here at Monza, the Autodromo Monza. Wonderful circuit, steeped in heritage, opened back in 1922. We're going to go racing here in its centenary year as well, as now very shortly, as the lights are about to go green, they do. It's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. And as they lead their way down, Yannick Mettler with a great jump. Not so great, though, for Leonardo Polcini. Pulcini. He's been hoovered up now. Alongside him, Axel Jeffries got a great launch in second place as they now look to try and work their way into the Rettivillo chicane. Very tight indeed. Dynamic Motorsport have had to take a detour off as well. That is Ricardo Casanaiga, who's had to go off the circuit as they get very close. Oh, a collision! A collision. Adam Osaka. I saw him go off into the gravel trap. Leonardo Pulcini has retaken second place. Axel Jeffries now in third. Oh, and there's the Imperial. No, is that Giuseppe Cipriani off?
It is Cipriani and the championship leader. Gilardoni is in the gravel in turn 1. Gilardoni is out after just a few hundred meters. What a start here at Monza for race 1. Yannick Mentler with no problem does lead the race from Pulcini. Great start by the Zimbabwean. Jeffries tried to send it down the inside. Katzaniga went straight ahead. Moritz Kranz with Carol Bash in the Audi, the pole sitter from race 2 in Austria, breathing down his neck, just repeating. Kevin Gilardoni, the championship leader, is parked at the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, Yannick Mentler still leads, and there is Cipriani. Yeah, he's stuck in the gravel trap. Not ideal at all. Certainly the El Baroni Rampante car is now off the circuit, and unfortunately will not be venturing back out onto the track as they're now making their way through. Safety car has been deployed, so we are under safety car full course yellow conditions, folks. Incredible scenes. It's to be expected, I suppose. When a car is beached off like that, it does obviously have to be removed. And under safety car conditions now at Monza, obviously very tight around those chicanes. And especially with the weather, you've got to factor in the braking points, certainly when you're under conditions such as these. But Yannick Mentler now has to bring the car down to a slower pace, and therefore will be under yellow flag conditions. Well, did you envisage a start like that, Ian?
No, particularly with regards to the championship leader, Gilardoni. We told you on the formation lap, watch out for him. He was on grid 8, not too bad. What, the 4th row of the grid, but wow.
Not quite the launch I think he would have wanted. 17th place now in this lineup. So a bit of work to do now for Gilardoni. Goes Oregon.
A bit, George.
Well, it's
a mountain of work.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. You know? But no, nonetheless, he is going to have to come back fighting. This is the replay at the start. Yannick Mentler, he got off exactly the way he would have wanted. It wasn't quite a great start, though, for Leonardo Pulcini. He had Axel Jeffries all over him at this point, and Jeffries, leading into the Rettivillo, had that favourable inside line. You can see that Ferrari did have a nose in front. Further back, you can see Gilardoni's car as we now watch them make their way down into the Rettivillo. Let's see what happened to him as they made their way around. And, oh, yeah, there was those collisions, so he got caught up in all of that, I think, heading through this point. And there you have it. Yeah, he's off the track at that point, so that's why Gilardoni fell down. But to be fair, it probably wasn't a bad option because he was right in the centre of all that chaos heading out of turn 2.
Particularly if we cast our mind back to the Red Bull Ring, that huge accident. Oh, turned around.
In fact, you could argue he started it. I don't want to presume anything, but no, obviously, what a moment at the start of this race. They got very close.
Critically, his car is still straight, though.
It is still straight, which is a relief. But nevertheless, it got very, very tight between everybody in Rettivillo. Obviously, with the rain as well, the track isn't going to be at its grippiest, and naturally we've got a situation now where the cars are going to be in a situation where tyres are being cooled, so they're going to need to try and keep weaving to get the heat back into them. So obviously when we get the race back underway again, they can get back off as if nothing has happened. But we'll have to wait and see. Still under safety car conditions, 66 minutes to go in racing here at Monza. And there you can see Moritz Kranz making his way around as well. But James Rowan, Imperial Racing, still very much in the fight. P5 currently at this point. Not a bad way to start here.
Super week they've had, of course, coming off a victory in the Italian GT Championship 6 days ago at Vallelunga, north of the eternal city of Rome. The Imperiale car, 2 gun drivers piloting that machine as well. Of course, the Irishman from County Kildare, James Rowe, and Alberto Di Folco, very experienced, is the Italian, and the Irishman for that matter. We've raced only a few hundred metres, and the safety car has been deployed to clear up, well, a messy start that also involved Giuseppe Cipriani and Korsanowski. Christian Korsanowski was also involved in that. Let's take a moment to check the order after a few hundred metres of green flag racing. Yannick Mentler from pole position is the race leader from Leonardo Pulcini. They've gone through and avoided the carnage. Axel Jeffries tried to send it down the inside in turn 1 on lap 1 into the chicane. He's in P3 from Katzaniga, who went straight ahead at the chicane. Wow, Adam Alseka, it looks as though the 786 Get Speed Mercedes is out of the race, or possibly just dragging him back onto somewhere where he can get traction. Either way, it's destroyed their afternoon. Just trying to see if he's still behind the wheel or if he has stepped out. This is a replay off the start. Yannick Mettler from pole position. Pulcini got a great jump. Gilardoni likewise for the championship leader, but it would all go wrong as he went down the outside into turn one. Jeffries actually going up into second place in the Kessel Racing Ferrari 73. And then this is when all hell broke loose. Katzaniga locked up. Gilardoni, was he helped by Moritz Kranz? That's an issue for them, those two drivers to sort out. Seika in the grass there, in the gravel and the grass. Korsanowski and Cipriani has beached the Lamborghini. Katzaniga going straight ahead. Watch this. Really not for us to say. We can't tell from that replay right there. And also Carol Bash just avoiding damage. His teammate, Korsanowski, getting through. A couple of places made up for Nick Moss in the Optimum Motorsport McLaren. They're up to 13th place after not the best run in qualifying this morning. There is the orange 720 and the Kessel Racing Garage. Their driver at the moment on lap 3 in position 3.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. I'm sure Carol Bash didn't appreciate that little tap of encouragement, but of course there was nothing really Kevin Gilardoni could do about that. 17th place. Christian Korsanowski as well lost a lot of places. He's down in 15th now. Remember, he was in the top end of things when we got this race underway. Of course, not ideal at all. They were starting from P7, have now since dropped down to P15. So a little bit of work to do now for Christian Korsanowski, who will be obviously handing over as well to his teammate, that of course being Stanislav Jedlinski, as we now watch as the cars make their way through. Murat Chiradaroglu, who's currently sat in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, he will hand over to David Fuminelli later on, who is a very fast driver indeed. Of course, Murat Chiradaroglu currently sits 16th in behind Christian Korsanowski. And there you can see the Olymp Racing Ferrari just ahead of him at this point as we're watching the cars peel through the Lesmo corners. And they'll be working to keep those tyres nice and hot so that when action gets back underway, they will still retain a lot of that grip that they were hoping to keep hold of. Bradley Ellis as well up into P10. So has done well to hold on to that place as well since the issues that we had around Rettifilio. Yannick Mettler, though, still has the lead. Pulcini right behind him. We'll be hoping for a better launch under safety car conditions, as they're still trying to clear Giuseppe Cipriani's car there. You can see the Lamborghini, the Il Baroni Rampante car, currently sat in the gravel trap. So while they try and remove that, we will remain under safety car conditions. But nevertheless, a great start for Yannick Mettler. Of course, as far as the championship's determined, this could be a huge opportunity for Pulcini and Hites, given the fact that they're higher up the order than what Oregon are, well, the other Oregon car is, should I say.
Certainly, there is just 1 point between the two Oregon cars. The teammates, the 4 drivers, the 2 cars, there's the first of which on your screen. The former Euro Formula Open champion, the Italian Leonardo Pulcini. There is Axel Jeffries, the Kessel Racing team. This is virtually their home race. The team from Switzerland. We're only about 1 hour south of the Swiss border here in the north of Italy. So Pulcini and P2, Jeffries, Katzaniga, who went straight ahead at the chicane. They exit the Alboreto Parabolica. This is really disappointing. Back in the championship, Giuseppe Cipriani, the popular AM driver, with a wealth of experience over the past 3 decades, actually was right there when Rubens Barrichello launched his European racing career in Formula 3 and Formula 3000, backing Rubino way back in 1990. I'm going to say 2 when he raced that Reynard 92D in F3000. That was the Il Barone Rampante team, which Giuseppe Cipriani was involved with. But unfortunately, his afternoon is over. Kevin Gilardoni did get going again. He is in position 17 behind Murat Chiradaroglu. Good try, good start, good intelligent car placement from the Turk. Murat, he avoided the carnage. He sits in 16th behind Christian Korsanowski. He was involved in the carnage. He was in the gravel at the exit of turn 2. As we ride on board with the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche, also a home race for the team representing the sole representative of Porsche 8 manufacturers back with us for the penultimate round of the 2022 championship. As the safety car finally, it's been a long stint. It's been, what, 10 or 11 minutes immediately after the start that we've trundled around this wet circuit. The rain has eased up. That is the good news.
Yeah, well, they had to obviously remove Giuseppe Cipriani's car. There's 2 cars they've had to remove off the circuit. So Adam Osaka and Kiki Saknana's certainly their Get Speed Performance car had to be removed, as well as the Il Baroni Rampante car belonging to Giuseppe Cipriani as well, ventured off the circuit, as we now ride on board with Murat Radoroglu. But safety car in this lap, so it's now all on the drivers to make sure that the rubber is up to temperature so they can get underway again. Coming through the second Lesmo, Yannick Metler will be very wary of a very fast Leonardo Polcini, who is currently right behind him right now. Of course, the pro driver currently sat in P2. Just a hat tip there to Nick Moss as well, who's currently sat in 13th, gained 2 places off the start, started P15, so has managed to gain, and working hard to obviously reduce the deficit between him and P1. Obviously, Joe Osborne will be taking the wheel later on when the driver changes occur. We have still got plenty of racing there, 58 minutes, just over 58 minutes to go here in the GTOpen round at Monza. Yannick Metler now heading through the Ascari chicane. The safety car, pace car, just taking them through the latter stages of this point. Very shortly it will peel off into the pit lane, and effectively Yannick Metler will be the pace car to get the action back underway here at the Italian circuit. So we're now watching them make their way through. Laurent de Meus as well, just in behind that of Nick Moss. And Moss will be looking to chase after that 12th spot too. Obviously both representing the pro category. There's Yannick Metler, just boxing the pack up just for now, until he puts the hammer down to get racing back underway. There you see Polcini just hovering right in behind him, as well as Axel Jeffries, who is not afraid to make moves. As they now come through the final corner of the Parabolica. And Yannick Metler has put his foot down, and it is pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. Yannick Metler getting a good start, so does Polcini. Further back as well, Carol Bash coming in to tackle that of Moritz Kranz. Bo further down as well as they make their way down through towards turn 1. You can see the Lamborghini just hovering in behind that. Ricardo Cazenaiga also trying to challenge that of Axel Jeffries. In the Porsche they go, now in towards turn 2. Cazenaiga goes to the move into 3rd place. Has he pulled it off? He's still got Axel Jeffries right alongside him. They all come through the first section. Cazenaiga is in 3rd. A great move indeed at the get-go, at the restart. That's how you do it, Ian.
Fantastic move from Ricardo. Moves up into position 3. Axel flashes the lights in the background, and the Kessel Ferrari is back into 4th place. Fantastic restart from Ricardo Cazenaiga. There is James Rowe going through. Also the Irishman making headlines throughout the week after his victory at Vallelunga last week. Front page news in the Kildare Nationalist News. He's up inside, well inside the top 10. In fact, James Rowe now in, what, 5th, 6th position. Super restart for the Imperiale Lamborghini. Axel Jeffries wants the place back sideways. On the exit of Lesmo 2 goes the Zimbabwean. There is the Irishman. The restart here as Carol Bash ranges up on the inside, gets the toe on Moritz Kras. There's Bo, the young 22-year-old French driver in the background, but it is Yannick Metler who leads down into the Ascari chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. Carol Bash now side by side now with Moritz Kranz. They go together, but coming out of Ascari, Bash on top. He moves up now into 6th place ahead of that of Moritz Kranz. Korzanowski has also managed to get past that of Nick Moss as well. We can see there the switches being made. Kranz now down to 7th. Korzanowski has moved up to 12th as well. He's making all sorts of places here, coming in towards the Parabolica curve now. There you can see them making their way through. There is Carol Bash. There's Ricardo Cazenaiga. A great move at the restart to take the advantage up into 3rd place as we ride on board with the Italian. What a way to kick things off. 3rd place, and now he's going to try and close up to Polcini as we can now see them make their way down towards turn 1. Yannick Metler still with the advantage. He holds onto the lead. In behind as well, Polcini, who is trying to get closer and closer, but look at Cazenaiga in the Porsche. That Porsche certainly looks well dressed for Monza.
Position 3 as you look at Polcini in 2nd place. Of course, the Mercedes in P1, the front engine car, and the 3 cars behind from Lamborghini, Porsche, and of course Ferrari, all mid-engine machines, as is the Audi R10 of Carol Bash, and a Mercedes ranges up beside the pole as well. Polcini looks racy here this afternoon. So we've got a clean restart. There is Kranz in the background. Over the back, of Carol Bash accelerates in the Audi, does the pole. The 2 Mercedes behind. There's Polchini Katzaniga up into 3rd place. And there's the Irishman, James Rowe. Welcome back to GTOpen, Imperiale Racing. And Carol Bash, pole sitter from race 2 at the Red Bull Ring in Austria 2 weeks ago, breathing down his neck. Out of Lesmo 2, Metla, Pulcini, Katzaniga, Axel Jeffries just flashes by at the bottom of your screen. James Rowe, Carol Bash right behind. The 2 V10 engine cars, the Lamborghini and the Audi, virtually technically identical, different cars though. But the engines are, well, very, very close to being the same. There is some damage to the front right of this 777 Olymp Racing Audi. Hopefully that won't affect them too much. He gets the tow, gets the slipstream, 20 cylinders of horsepower from the 2 German supercars, well, German-owned supercars, has the Mercedes in position 1. Pulcini and Katzaniga has dropped off Axel Jeffries in this battle for position 5. Carroll sends it down the inside, tries to take the Irishman, and watch Moritz Krantz in the background. Moritz gets the run, super pass from Krantz, goes through while Carroll was trying to get by. Moritz Krantz might take the both of them. Gets the slipstream behind the Imperiale Lamborghini down into turn 1. He might pick up 2 drivers in the space of 2 corners. Metler goes through. There's Pulcini, Katzaniga, Jeffries. Rowe on the inside. Moritz hangs it around the outside. Too good, too intelligent was James Rowe. And now there's a chance for revenge for Carol Bash.
Yeah, Carol Bash pushing him through the first chicane at Rettifilio. They come around the Curva Grande now. As they do so, James Rowe holds onto his position side by side through the Curva Grande. As they now head through now, Carol Bash now looking to take revenge this time on Moritz Krantz as they head down in towards the next chicane at the Rogia. Still at this moment though, Krantz has got the inside line, the favourable line, and does hold on to his position too in P6. Incredible moment to say the least, but Bash far from done. He's going to try and sweep through at the Lesmo. Lesmo 1 for the Audi. Can he hold on? Still Krantz feathering the throttle, trying to hold on to his placement there. Seb Bow in behind all of these has got the best view in the house as they head in towards Lesmo 2. Krantz just too much. A great stern bit of defending, certainly as we go to a replay.
Korsanowski, the second Olymp Racing entry, a complete 360, no harm done for the pole. Avoids the gravel, avoids the wall. He loses a couple of places. Will drop down the order. He's now in 18th position, but rejoins the race. Unlike Adam Museka and Giuseppe Cipriani, the early race retirements, this is what we've come to expect over the last few years in GTOpen International. This is superb racing in these GT3 supercars. Yannick Metler in position 1. Pulcini locks up going into the Alboreto Parabolica, as does Axel Jeffries, who goes straight ahead, has to get out of the throttle, accelerates. Pulcini, P2, also P2 in the championship. His teammate in this second car, we're looking for Kevin Gilardoni, who's down in 14th position.
Yeah, absolutely. Kozlowski back up into 17th, has managed to dispose of Murat Radoroglu after going off the circuit earlier on. He has recovered the fellow Olymp car. Of course, the Audi still working hard to try and dispose of Moritz Krantz as they head down in towards the Rettifilio chicane. They're still all chasing James Rowe, who's very much the cork in the bottle. Again, a full send from Carol Bash, who goes around the inside. Now, once again, they'll head out of the Curva Grande. Contact as they head out as well. The Olymp team watching on. They can see all this unfolding. They again head around the Curva Grande, but what about Seb Bow as well in the other Mercedes? Surely not Seb Bow as they head down in towards the next chicane, this time at the Rogia. There's James Rowe making his way down into that chicane now. Once again, Seb Bow has to step back, can't quite attack as Carol Bash, who's once again, he's just pushing, he's prodding Moritz Krantz right now, just saying, look mate, let me through, but he can't do it, can't quite pull it off. Through the Lesmo 1 and then Lesmo 2, Moritz Krantz, a wonderful display to say the least, but I love this duel that we have at this point, heading through the Rettifilio chicane. Carol Bash literally giving him absolutely everything, argy-bargy through the first sector.
Rain, of course, the great equaliser. We got a shot of the Olymp Racing team down in the garage. George, I don't certainly speak Polish, but I suspect they were saying, right there goes the bodywork. It's no longer a problem.
Absolutely right. Of course, the little piece that we saw missing earlier on was after the collision heading into Rettifilio. Carol Bash once again going side by side, leading up towards Ascari. Not enough, though, to generate a move, but he is literally going full send at this point. Currently sat in 7th place and trying to chase down Moritz Krantz for that 6th spot. but still a little bit of work to do. That's given a little bit of a gap now, obviously between that of James Rowe and Axel Jeffries. 6.6 seconds is the gap between those two. So they've split off into two different groups now, pretty much. Martin Conrad having a good race too, currently sat in 10th place, 3.2 behind that of Ellis, who's currently sat in P9. Bradley Ellis running his first race this season in the GTOpen. As now we're seeing James Rowe once again, this time, who has Moritz Kranz all over him. And this time he doesn't have Carol Bash to help him out, because of course Bash was piling on the pressure on that of Moritz Kranz earlier on, and now going uber defensive, certainly now, is that of James Rowe as they now head out of the Rettifilio chicane. They will have the Curva Grande coming up next. A big exit there from Moritz Kranz. He needed it as well. Switches to the inside, back to the outside now. Once again, nose to tail between the pair. The Lamborghini doing its utmost to prevent this attack, this onslaught from the Mercedes GT3 as they head down now in towards the next chicane. The Roger, a twitch there from Moritz Kranz as they come down now, but the Lamborghini just doing enough. James Rowe will know all about this kind of racing, certainly from competing in Indy Lights.
Both the drivers on our screen in this battle, both racing in the United States of America throughout 2022. Moritz Kranz, gee, he looks good here this afternoon. The 35-year-old German racing in the IMSA series in LMP3, and of course James Rowe, as you just mentioned, George, racing in Indy Lights and entertaining us superbly here this afternoon in race one, the penultimate round of GTOpen International. It is Lamborghini versus Mercedes versus Audi. Another Mercedes in the background. There were 10 of them at the Red Bull Ring. We're down to 4 here at the home of Italian motorsport. 8 manufacturers here at Monza for the penultimate round. It is Mercedes P1, Lamborghini P2, and Riccardo Cazzaniga in the Porsche in 3rd place. The first Ferrari, of course, there has to be a Ferrari somewhere near the front at Monza. That is the Zimbabwean Axel Jeffries. And in this battle for P5, Rowe, Kranz, Bash, Bolt. Super run also from the young French driver Sebastien Bolt, and Bradley Ellis on debut in the 76 McLaren. The British team, the British driver, the British supercar in position 9.
Yeah, 3 different manufacturers in this fight as well. We've got an Audi, a Mercedes, and a Lamborghini caught right up in the mix of this as they now make their way down through towards turn 1. We've just seen there, certainly the cars make their way through. You could barely see them down the straight. The rain spray has just literally caused a mist, so you can't see anything at that portion. There's Moritz Kranz once again. Carol Bash has not wasted any time. He's already caught up with him once again as they head out of the first chicane of the Rettifilio. Further back, Sir Bo, who's watching all this unfold too. The Audi now trying to size up another potential move, potentially to Moritz Kranz. We'll have to wait and see as they come around the Curva Grande once again. And still leading the contingent, it is James Rowe in P5. 6/10 back, Moritz Kranz, with Carol Bash in behind him. 3/10 as well is the sole gap. They head through now in towards the Rogier. There goes James Rowe, still holding on to that P5. Not a bad first display, certainly in the GTOpen this season for him. As they head around the next right to the Lesmo, we're seeing Yannick Mettler currently 5/10 ahead of Leonardo Polcini. This battle has been ongoing since the restart after the safety car. Yannick Mettler controlled the pace and then launched it, and since then hasn't looked back. Still holds on to the lead with Cazzaniga just following those two, 1.5 seconds in behind that of Polcini. As we're now watching them head through the Ascari chicane now. Axel Jeffries as well back in 4th place, with James Rowe then further back too, with Moritz Kranz chasing him right now as they now venture in towards the Parabolica. Very soon, of course, the driver change will be on in about 4 minutes, and already that's Laurent Demias with a spin as well. The AF Corsa Ferrari spinning at that portion of the circuit. That's at the Rogier chicane, so not good at all, certainly for the AF Corsa team. So now watching the cars make their way around the Parabolica curves. There's Riccardo Cazzaniga, who got a huge launch heading off the safety car restart, overtaking that of Axel Jeffries, and it's done a splendid job indeed. Murat Radaroglu managing to move up into 17th ahead of Laurent Demias, who we saw spin. He has recovered, obviously, after that spin at the Rogier. But Mettler leads, Polcini in 2nd. The driver change is about 3.5 minutes away.
Laurent Demias does rejoin. He'll be handing over to Jamie Stanley, the British GT veteran, imminently. So we're 2.5 minutes away from the first driver change. That long prolongated period behind the safety car will have an effect on strategy for the teams. Do they keep their drivers out longer than originally planned? Certainly if Leonardo Pulcini continues to hassle the back of Mettler, they'll do exactly that. Mettler now goes defensive. Into the Rocha chicane, gets a tighter line over the ripple strip. Goes the Lamborghini, and Katzeniga is catching the both of them. There is Axel Jeffries in the background. Mercedes-Benz AMG, Lamborghini. And then we go to the Porsche and the Ferrari. 1, 2, 3, 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4. Here in GTOpen International, out of Lesmo 2. Mettler is under pressure here. Pulcini has looked racy from the outset, from when the safety car pulled back into pit lane, but cannot go by the Mercedes of Yannick Mettler, who took pole position this morning. Here is James Rowe, still in P5 in 5.25, with Moritz Kranz breathing down his neck. A fabulous stint from Moritz Kranz there. He's his co-driver. To the left of your screen, Janine Schaffner. Well, it looks as though he's going to stay out for some time because Janine hasn't even got the race suit on, let alone the helmet. She's not ready to go. That tells us this car's going to stay out for some time still.
Yeah, Moritz Kranz will be looking to try and pepper James Rowe. Oh, there's another car off. That belonging to Yao Liang Bo, who's currently now in the gravel trap. The wheels are turning, but no one's home. Here's the replay of that moment. Heading into the chicane. Oh, spun in a straight line there. Obviously very slick. There's very little grip at that portion. We saw Laurent de Meos go off there earlier, and now he's right in the thick of the gravel trap. Unfortunately unable to get himself back going again. We'll have to wait and see whether he does need to be collected. Obviously we'll wait and see. There is a yellow flag around turn 5 at this moment in time, but very soon Yannick Mettler will come across it. Of course, he's got to get through the Rettofilio chicane first. He's got Leonardo Pulcini, who's right behind him. Ricardo Kazenaiga in 3rd as well. There's no venture around the Curva Grande yet again. Still Mettler out on top, 7/10 back then Pulcini, with Kazenaiga 1.1 seconds in behind those. And Yao Liang has now dropped down to 19th, so Laurent de Meos has now gone ahead too. We've got a safety car, so that confirms it. Another safety car. Obviously the car is stricken in the gravel trap. Yao Liang not able to get the car going again.
George, we are 1 minute away from the driver change handover period, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're approaching that now by the end of this lap. So the safety car has been sent out onto the circuit.
A key note on that fact, they weren't allowed to serve the handicap time during the safety car period, so this has got to be policed now, obviously.
Yeah, for those that do have to serve the handicap for the entry, just on the Honda that's beached in the gravel, that was disappointing because Yao Lingbo was up in the 14th place. The Honda, which was on the podium last year, they were in 14th position. Obviously, they would not have served the handicap, but they've got a much bigger one to serve, courtesy of coming back via the gravel. So we're, what, 14 seconds away from the driver change period. My mathematics is correct. For regular viewers, they'd know that that's less than my strong point at the moment. Yeah, it is 20 minutes. So the driver change is now on.
Yeah, absolutely. We are under safety car conditions, though, folks. The pit window has actually remained closed, as far as we can see. So that will remain to be the case until we're notified otherwise. Kevin Gillardoni still out on track. There you can see him currently sat in 17th place. It hasn't been an easy restart for Gillardoni, but I think he'll be happy with the safety car. I think obviously that'll bring all the cars back in and he can once again make challenges for the top end places. Obviously he's got quite a plethora of cars ahead of him. And is there an issue with the car?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Right rear puncher.
And the pit lane is closed, so that doesn't help things. So this could be an issue. Obviously Kevin Gillardoni now stricken, out on track. Now, this is certainly less than ideal for Kevin Gillardoni. I wondered why he was down in 17th, and now I've seen a puncture, and he can't come in the pit lane.
Surely he's picked up debris because these Michelin tyres are usually bulletproof. There has been a bit of contact throughout the race, so some debris, some carbon bits of plastic onto the circuit. Almost certainly has cut the right rear Michelin of the championship leader. This is his teammate in 2nd place, Leonardo Pulcini, in car 63, and just 1 point behind Gillardoni, who has to limp back to the pits. And we got a glimpse of the Honda. It's still in the gravel, so the safety car will be out for some time yet, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, George, this is a disastrous afternoon for the championship leader, Kevin Gilardoni.
Well, it's a huge shame to remain closed. We've had that confirmed here on our screens. The safety car obviously still out on track. Obviously, they're still trying to remove the car that's off in the gravel trap. The marshals will be working hard to make sure that that's removed. You can see it's still there. Yao Liang is certainly still remaining beached. He will not be rejoining the race, certainly at this particular point. But what this does mean is that while the pit window is closed, obviously we've had that discussion about the handicaps in that situation, but obviously Kevin Gilardoni's got the biggest handicap of them all right now because he can't come in and he's got a puncture. He's going slowly, and I tell you what, this is not ideal at all for their weekend. They're currently leading the standings. Great news if you're Leonardo Polcini, because of course if things stay the way they are, they will retake the lead of the championship. Further back though, Nick Moss has fallen right on his feet. He's up into 10th place. 5 places gained at the start, and now coming into the pit is Kevin Gilardoni, and you can see the flakes of rubber on the left-hand side as he was coming in.
Possibly even destroying the bodywork. George, I'm trying to think under safety car conditions, if they are allowed to pit, albeit not to serve a handicap, or do they just wait if there is a situation like this, if it becomes a safety issue? Of course, we are under the control of our race director, Mr. Alessandro Ferrari. They do put a right rear new Michelin tyre on. They do have to do that, obviously. He stays in the car.
So they're going to have to stop twice.
This is a technical question. Obviously, he couldn't continue on. So is that classed as a safety issue?
Well, you do have to wonder. I mean, obviously, it's not ideal, and naturally, he's going to have to close up with the safety car pack as well. But this does route him towards the back now. He is at the back and propping up the order, so it's going to be a huge charge now for Gilardoni to get himself back to the top end of things. Obviously, Van Berlo's got a huge job on his hands too when he jumps into the car later on when we get back underway for racing action. But I suppose the one little bit of respite they can take from this is that the safety car is out, therefore it does give them a chance to catch up again.
James Rowe on your screen, position 5 in car 525. It would seem as though the Honda will rejoin when they can drag it out of the gravel. The Chinese drivers making their debut in the series. This is Carol on your screen. 777, the Polish driver, the Polish team. 2 different cars. That's a big effort. 1 Audi and 1 Ferrari in the GTOpen International Series. Yao Lingbo from the Ferrari Challenge, the 42-year-old Chinese driver behind the wheel. And you'd have to suspect that if they can just drag him out of the gravel, he will be able to rejoin and hand over to Lu Jiwei, joining us from the Asian GT Championship in the car that was on the podium in 2021 at this very event in, well, conditions which were almost identical. Last year, 12 months ago, Alberto Lippi and Luca Magnoni taking victory in the Pro-Am category. And on the podium outright as well. Great to have the Honda back in the field. There's the street art machine. Pascal Bachmann, a good clean race for the Swiss driver, up into 16th place, has avoided the carnage at the moment. The same can be said for the driver just ahead of him, Murat Juadaroglu. And they have indeed dragged the Honda out. What a magnificent car this is. Great to have the Japanese manufacturer back with us, and hopefully also for the season final at Barcelona in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, Yao Liang competed in Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific, was an AM driver in that affair as well. He's now here in amongst us in the GTOpen as well for Monza. And great to see them back out onto the circuit as we ride on board with James Rowe, who will be swapping out for Alberto Di Folco later on as well, who's a race winner in the 2022 Italian GT Championship. Also competed in GTOpen back in 2019, getting 1 podium in 8 races. So he knows how to certainly perform at this level as well. So excited to see what he can do when he steps in under the driver change conditions. Obviously, we're still under safety car conditions right now, so no chance of that being underdone just yet. Still got just over 36 minutes to go in this race. Anything can happen. Yannick Mettler still on top. But the one thing you do have to say about this is that while Polcini's situation is a positive one in a sense that Kevin Gilardoni obviously won't be scoring any points the way things have stood out, because the safety car has come out. Once again, it's grouped the cars together, so the Pro-Ams who, should we say, have started with AM drivers, they're going to be swapping in for Pro drivers, so this turns everything around. So if you're David Fuminelli right now, for example, you're going to be delighted with how things have worked out for you.
George, I've been observing this throughout the course of not only the race, but also qualifying. Some teams have elected to put their gun or their star or their pro driver in for qualifying. Of course, it swaps over for qualifying in race 2 tomorrow morning. The safety car still out on the circuit. It'll have to come in imminently because the track, if you ignore the debris on the left of your screen, is for the most part clear. I'd suggest that is the right rear Michelin from Gilardoni's car. And other teams have elected to put their AM driver in, the likes of Nick Moss, who has done stunningly well so far in very difficult conditions. He'll be handing over to the British GT driver and GTOpen international regular Joe Osborne, who I'd suspect now he may well drag that car into the top 5. An outside shot for the podium as we pass half race distance here this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely right. Remember, they're only 5 points away from the championship leader, that being Kevin Gilardoni. There is the Honda now in the garage. That is Yao Liang Bo, currently stood out in the pit lane. And they're making some necessary changes. No doubt the rubber needs changing on that car. Yannick Mettler, though, still leads out in front. And the safety car is confirmed to be coming in this lap. So very shortly we will be back underway. I tell you what, going back to what you were saying about Nick Moss, obviously gaining the 5 places he did off the start, now puts himself in a position where he's in the top 10. He's a very talented driver himself. Optimum Motorsport have a big opportunity to score some big points this afternoon.
They certainly do. That is one car to watch out for. As we pass half race distance, Sebastian Ball will be handing over to the Luxembourgish driver, Steve Jans, in the 911 Mercedes. The Get Speed car, the young 22-year-old French driver, coming out of the Ligier European Championship, basically an LMP3 category. Also took a win in French Formula 4 at, of all places, Le Mans a few seasons ago. Has driven quite well as he goes down through the Rocher chicane. And the same can be said for Bradley Ellis. Fantastic to have the 76 McLaren on the grid with us for this, the penultimate round of the series. The safety car to pull into pit lane at the end of this lap, suggesting that most cars will stay out and try and stretch it to the end of the pit stop window. This is Nick Moss in the Optimum Motorsport McLaren, currently in position 10, has dragged himself up, avoided the carnage from grid 17. Yannick Mettler from pole position has got the race lead and will pull away when the green flag flies in just a few moments' time. Pulcini still has not been able to find a way past in the previous 40 minutes of this race, which has seen a couple of safety car interventions. The rain still falling lightly. It's not torrential, it is not a storm, it's just been consistent. And we've certainly got a raceable, if very, very treacherous racetrack here this afternoon at Monza. The safety car getting ready to pull into pit lane at the end of this lap. The lights will go off and Yannick Mettler will lead them up to the line and we will race green. We are now well inside the pit stop window. There's Korsanowski going through. The Kessel Racing Ferraris, the lights are off. Yannick Mettler from pole position, position 1. Look at Pulcini to the left of your screen. And now he pulls to the right, trying to find a way by. This is an opportunity for the Oregon Lamborghini to take the race lead and consolidate P1 in the championship. The safety car pulls into pit lane. Mettler sideways under acceleration. An awesome bit of car control as he exits the parabolica. The green flag flies, and once again we race green. Mettler with Pulcini right behind the 54 SPS Mercedes, and here comes Katzenegger as well. 1, 2, 3 as they race down into the first chicane.
Yannick Mettler got a jump, but I have to tell you, Leonardo Pulcini, I think, had a better one. They come down now into Rettifilio. Oh, and I tell you what, they come together, get so close, cutting the chicane now, Yannick Mettler, and now, certainly further back, Katzenegger as well has got to worry about Axel Jeffries, who is in behind him too. They round through the Curva Grande. Still on top though, Yannick Mettler. In come the cars. The Team GTs are in as well as the Street Art car. There's Kevin Gilardoni, who's no doubt going to change in for Glenn Van Berlo. There's the Kessel Racing Ferrari as well. Up on the jacks now is that Lamborghini. Out steps Gilardoni. In goes Glenn Van Berlo. So all the driver changes happening now. And there we can see the Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Nick Moss swapping out, certainly for who will be Joe Osborne, as now we're seeing the cars run through the Lesmo Benz. Now still on top, Yannick Mettler. There is no doubt the Ferrari that David Fuminelli is going to take up as well. Laurent de Meus has come into the pit lane. There's going to be another change as well. So there you have it, folks. Certainly it's all happening now. A cluster of cars all coming in. The driver change window is opened. It'll go on now for 10.5 minutes straight, as now Carol Bash looks to try and get closer to Moritz Kranz as they now head up through towards the Ascari chicane now. Nose to tail between the pair. Out comes David Fuminelli. He's going to come out onto the circuit now. One of the first contingent of cars that stepped into that pit lane as well. And very shortly he'll venture onto the circuit and head out on his first lap of racing.
A big moment there as he releases the pit lane speed limiter. So David Fuminelli down in 15th position, but critically he is the 4th car which has stopped as he goes down into the chicane, gets a feel for the circuit. Moritz Kranz locks up big time into the Alboreto Parabolica. Carol Bash right behind. Superb car control we've seen from multiple drivers this afternoon. And you'd have to suggest that most of the drivers at the head of the field will have no choice but to stay out to the very end of the pit window. Having said that, Katzaniga goes down into pit lane and he'll hand over to Klaus Backler.
Yeah, Imca WeatherTech Sports Car Championship driver, as well as a podium sitter in the Asian Le Mans 2022, and a pole sitter as well as of that. So a very talented human being behind the wheel of a car. He'll certainly be looking to get to work on this Porsche. So now watching the cars now venture through the next portion of the circuit, around in the Curva Grande. Polcini trying to close up to Yannick Mettler. The top 9 still yet to have stopped. Backler obviously currently sat in 10th place now, waiting to leave the pit lane. Alan Valente out on track as well as part of the Team GT contingent. And remember, they won at Hungary as well. Their sole win of the season, but they did it in such great fashion. Steve Yans also out and about. David Fuminelli, who is now in the car as well, looking to go to work in that Ferrari. Now, it's important for those pros that have come in and stepped in the car now to really put their foot down and try and marshal in any possible advantage they can. You've got to have your eyes set on David Fuminelli right now, because he is now ahead of Joe Osborne, who is in 18th place. A huge chance for that Kessel Racing Ferrari to score big here at Monza.
Certainly, George. Fuminelli is one to look out for. Osborne and also Glenn Van Berlo. They've had a disastrous afternoon so far. GVB, can he drag it up onto the podium from position 16? We've got just under half an hour of racing to go. Here is Carroll. Pole position in race 2 weeks ago with the Red Bull ring. Here goes the Optimum Motorsport McLaren at the bottom of your screen, disappearing down. So we'll see where they come out, the 72 car. Yannick Mettler, will he stay out? He's tight, he's on the inside. He may pull into the pits at the end of this lap. We're watching him closely. No, stays to the left, and it's another lap for the pole sitter, who continues to run in position 1. Steve Jans and Sebastian Ball. And here is the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche. World-class team they are. They were in contention for victory in the Dubai 24-hour race in, 2021. 7th outright. They were running until a couple of hours to go, and then they had a gearbox failure from memory. It was really disappointing. They are a top-class team based not too far from the Monza circuit. As you see, Korsanowski dive down into pit lane in the second Olymp Racing entry. Their service, the mat even rolled out for the Christian. Obviously, in all seriousness though, there you go. That is the reason. You do not want slippery boots.
When you're playing with pedals,
no,
to say the least, and especially with conditions like they are today. And these chicanes are so tight, as we're watching the cars now make their way down through towards the next straight. There's Yannick Mettler, who will be swapping out for Dexter Muller when the time comes through. Obviously, we've still got just under 7 minutes to go in terms of the driver change window, so he'll continue to stay out for as long as it lasts, approximately 3 laps, I would say.
And Pulcini has dropped off the race leader, Yannick Mettler, and Axel Jeffries is catching the Italian. There he is in the Kessel Racing Ferrari in position 3. Just takes 0.2 of a second out of the former Euro Formula Open champion, who's still in 2nd place. And this has been a stunning performance all afternoon from Yannick Mettler behind the safety car in the wet from pole position, under attack from Pulcini and Jeffries. Remember, the Zimbabwean sent it right down the inside on the very first corner of the race, but Yannick Mettler has withstood the pressure superbly. This is the Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Joe Osborne down in 18th place at the position, but that will certainly change as Stanislav Jedlinski takes over the wheel of the 5 Olymp Racing Ferrari, rejoins at the exit of pit lane now, and may just slot in ahead of this battle on your screen. It is still Mettler, Pulcini, Jeffries, Moritz Kranz, Carroll, and then Bradley Ellis. What about the Brit? There is Jedlinski going through. Bradley Ellis on debut in GTOpen International in position 6.
Yeah, once again, looking back, those that stopped earlier, of course, that being the Kessel Racing Ferrari belonging to Fuminelli, once again now ahead of Stanislav Jedlinski. So remember, Carol Bash was higher up the order than him. So I tell you what, it's worked out wonderfully for David Fuminelli now. Glenn Van Berlo out on track 2. Of course, Leonardo Pulcini still out on track in the other Oregon car. As now seeing them all make their way through. Joe Osborne just trying to dodge the street art there of Pascal Bachmann. That, of course, being for that 17th spot. So Joe Osborne already going to work, should I say, as the cars all peel their way through. There we can see them all lining up now. There's Pulcini with in behind as well. Axel Jeffries just locked in behind. Further back, Moritz Kranz currently sits in 4th. He'll be swapping out for Janine Schaffner when the time comes as well. There's Joe Osborne already disposing of Pascal Bachmann. Further back as well, Yannick Mettler trying to dodge the traffic. He has got Stanislav Jedlinski in front of him. Leonardo Pulcini does the same as well as they clear those back markers and head through in towards the Ascari chicane. Joe Osborne obviously currently, as it stands, a lap down, but will be closing up as soon as Pulcini and Mettler come into the box.
It looked as though he was making his way through traffic. That was actually a pass for the place. Stanislav Jedlinski also getting up the blow-by from Joe Osborne. So when he went past the 007 machine of Pascal Bachmann, it wasn't for traffic. That was a move for the place, admittedly, way down in 16th. Alberto Di Folco is just ahead, as is Glenn Van Berlo. There is Bachmann. There is the race leader. It looks as though this time he might be coming into pit lane. Let's watch this. The indicator is indeed on. Pulcini, will he follow him through? The answer is no. And finally, albeit by default, the Italian in the Oregon car has taken the lead.
Yeah, absolutely right. Into the box now, Yannick Mettler. Dexter Muller will be primed and ready to jump in the car. There he is on the right-hand side. And the Mercedes now takes its place in the pit lane as they now go to work in executing the driver change as quick as they can. Out the car now goes Yannick Mettler, in goes Dexter Muller. There we can see Carol Bash's Audi as well. We've got Marcin Jedlinski, who's going to be jumping in there very, very shortly as well. And Martin Conrad currently leading the AM contingent in P5. So Notti's just jumped into 6 as well. Bachler, who is still out on track, Klaus Bachler, currently sat in 9th. Will he jump through? I'd imagine he will too. Alan Valente as well, who's further down in 10, just cutting that chicane again slightly there. Pulcini, who currently leads the way with Axel Jeffries right in behind him now as they round through the first Lesmo. They'll have the second one to take very shortly as well, as we now watch them ride through this next the second Lesmo before the Serigilio straight, which will then lead them down towards the Ascari chicane. Still Pulcini leads. If it stays like this, they will lead the championship.
Leonardo Pulcini, very lucky there. He went straight ahead, locking up under brakes into the Rocher chicane. Once upon a time, there was a gravel track there. And the 54 SPS car has just exited pit lane now. We watch Pulcini. Jeffrey still behind him. This is first, second outright, but they have not stopped. Neither has Moritz Kranz. Bradley Ellis into 4th place. Dexter Muller does rejoin the race leader, so we'll see where he does slot in. Position 7 at the moment. Head of Bachler, Jedlinski, Valente, Steve Jans, and David Fuminelli. The 73 Ferrari in position 2 at the moment. Roman Zyman to take over the wheel from Axel Jeffries. At the end of this very lap right now, they both dive down into pit lane. They've stretched it right to the very end of the pit lane, or the pit stop window. Last year's race winner from Chile in South America, Benjamin Hitez, to take over the wheel of the 63 Oregon Lamborghini. Roman Zyman to do likewise from Axel Jeffries. Axel steps out, Roman steps in now. A little bit awkward there for Axel to get out. Smooth start from Pulcini, jumps out, throws away the seat. And Hitez, the 2021 race winner, is now strapped in behind the wheel of the car which has been dominating much of the 2022 championship. Stephen Earl, the American doctor, 70 years of age, still continues to race competitively with us. And Janine Schaffner finally gets the suit on, gets the helmet on. We saw a glimpse of her some 20 minutes ago. Now she's ready to race and bring the 9 Mercedes to the checkered flag in just over 20 minutes' time.
Absolutely right. She'll be jumping in straight away. There we can see out on track. It certainly will be Dexter Muller, who's currently making his way down through towards the next right as well in the Mercedes, as they now make their way around this next right-hander. Plenty of cars in the pit lane. Obviously, Stephen Earl stepping in to the Ferrari as well. There is the car belonging to Martin Conrad, now belongs to Alexander Harakowina, the Manfilter Team Landgraf Mercedes. They're going to jump straight back out now shortly. There you can see more cars exiting. That one certainly belonging to that of Roman Zamian, who came in for what looked to be earlier on Axel Jeffries. And there is Dexter Muller as well. Out comes Janine Schaffner. And further back as well, you've got Klaus Bachler, and then moving on through Alan Valente, right in the thick of things too, as they all come on through. Leo Lucas as well, in as well. The driver change is now officially finished. That's all come to an end. Steve Jans now ahead of what looks to be Marcin Jedlinski, who has to come out. Oh, another off there indeed. That's the Imperiale car. That's DeFalco. The 525 Lamborghini Huracan now in the gravel trap for Imperial Racing, is in the gravel trap. The Italian stagnant at this point. Surely not another safety car, Ian.
Yep, he's going nowhere.
Incredible stuff indeed. A yellow flag is out for turn 11. We'll bring you news whether it will be a full course yellow. Of course, it will be down to the stewards to make that decision, as we're now waiting to hear from them, as Dexter Muller makes his way around this next right, trying to put every ounce into his car right now. Oh, Joe Osborne. Joe Osborne's off too, and that car is stagnant too. The McLaren 720S. He's not in the gravel trap.
The safety car is out. He steps out. What a disappointment.
Disaster. Absolute disaster. Full course yellow. The safety car is out. And Joe Osborne is out of the car.
That's bizarre.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible scenes here with just under 19 minutes to go of racing. And Joe Osborne is out of the McLaren 720S, the Optimum Motorsport team, who look to have so much promise at this point. But look at the safety car. Look at David Fuminelli. 7th place now. This has worked out perfectly for the Kessel Racing Ferrari. Looks like an engine issue.
Or electrical. Actually, to be doing something like that, maybe it's a chassis issue. Optimum Motorsport taking the Pro-Am victory here in 2021 with Brendan Ireb and Ollie Milroy. This is DeFalco. So much hope. He did have the rear tyres on the bitumen. No.
He spun it onto the gravel trap.
No.
That's sensational.
Lamborghini do make a magnificent four-wheel drive SUV. He needed to be driving that right there because Alberto Di Falco, after taking over the wheel from James Rowe, has beached the Imperiale Lamborghini. Their day is over.
Despondent. He's out of the car.
We've lost 2 front runners in the matter of 2 minutes. George, we picked it, or in fact, you picked it earlier on. David Fuminelli, he was way back in, second to last position. He's worked his way up into 7th. We've lost the McLaren, which is in the back of your screen now, and also DeFalco, one of the pre-race favourites.
And we know that Fuminelli is a mean qualifier. We've seen his pace. He's absolutely incredible when it comes to qualifying. And obviously, coming into this point now where they are in a position with a safety car, given where they started, this is an incredible performance from the Kessel Racing Ferrari. David Fuminelli has a chance. They've already gained 13 places, so to come from where they started to all of a sudden be challenging potentially for a podium, maybe even a race win, we'll have to wait and see, because if you look at the cars ahead of them, obviously not a lot of them are pro cars. Obviously, you got Klaus Bachler, who's up there, not to mention Ben Jahites as well, but there it is. Joe Osborne.
Okay, well, all that we can say is that he's just stopped, whether it was an engine issue or something electronic, or if the car has broken, regardless, he's out. The Optimum Motorsport McLaren just comes to a stop at the end of the start-finish straight. Hugely disappointing, expecting a strong run from Nick Moss. From Joe Osborne after taking over from Nick Moss. But he is out. Alberto Di Falco is out. Lingbo Yao, who was beached in the gravel, is still circulating. And of course, we lost Adam Oseca and Giuseppe Cipriani on the very first lap of the race. Roman Zyman is the race leader for the moment. Dexter Miller behind Klaus Bachler. He was way back on the grid. An intelligent drive for him. Actually the first pro driver in the race. So we've got Pro-Am cars 1 and 2. And then we go to Valente Schaffner after taking over from Moritz Krantz. He's in position 5. Credit also to Murat Cuadaroglu. He avoided the carnage. He is the AM driver in this combination. Avoided the treacherous conditions. Managed to take the first stint really well. Really intelligent drive. Handed over to the gun, David Fuminelli. And they are in contention, so credit to both David and Murat as well.
It is a very well executed performance from the Kessel Racing Ferrari pairing of Murat Cuadaroglu and David Fuminelli. Fuminelli in the car now, and he is so quick, so rapid. He is now positioned in behind now Benji Hites, P7, and they've gained so many places, and he's now back again looking to challenge for the top end of things. Certainly a huge opportunity for Ferrari to score here at their home track of Monza. With Fuminelli now at the wheel. We'll have to wait and see whether he can pull that off. Those are now watching the cars make their way through. Big opportunity as well for Klaus Bachler, of course, the other pro car that's currently in this top end contingent of things. Benji Hites as well, a pro driver. And we got Steve Jans, who's up there too, who could have a huge launch and get himself right up into the mix of things as well. So Glenn Van Berlo, I think, will consider this safety car a bit of a blessing too. Oh, dearie me, another spin. And if I'm not mistaken, Leo Lucas. And that's the other McLaren now. 2 McLarens there with issues under safety car ruling.
Don't do it!
Oh, he was lucky. He had 2 wheels on the outside of the gravel trap. So
one driving wheel.
Yeah.
That was a nerve-wracking moment, but he does rejoin. And this is what happened. Behind the safety car, just puts the power down. The 4-litre twin-turbo V8 and some 600 horsepower Michelin wets on a very greasy Italian circuit. Almost a complete 360. Yet Linsky did very well to avoid him.
Is this going to go down as one of the strangest races of the season, do you think, Ian?
George, let me ask, who's going to win? That's the question, because it could be anybody.
I'll tell you what, cards on the table. What's your prediction?
Yeah, Fuminelli is looking good.
Yeah, you see, you've just stolen that off me. I'm not having that. Terrible, Ian. Terrible behaviour.
But there is only 14 minutes to race.
There is, but the safety car's in this lap, so that's a positive. So we've got plenty of time left, lots of action to be had. You've got Pro-Am drivers, a mixture of pro. The AMs are all together. Alexander Harakowina is leading that contingent. Stephen Earle is in with a shout as well in the AM category, so big opportunity for him. But up at the sharp end of things, you've currently got Roman Zamian, who's going to be leading the restart, not to mention Dexter Muller, who is just in behind too. It's a who's who at the moment, anybody's guess. Klaus Bachler with a chance of claiming a victory perhaps in his first race of the season too. He's up into 3rd, obviously representing the pro category. Benji Hites, of course, in the mix too. Of course, they're on for big points nonetheless, and they could effectively take the lead of the championship should it stay like this, because Optimum Motorsport won't be scoring any points today. So there we can see the conversations being had in the garage. But yeah, brilliant day. Big opportunity for Ferrari to score some big points. David Fuminelli in 7th, obviously representing that brand too. There we can see them make their way down towards the Ascari chicane. Very shortly, Zamian will be the pace car at this point, with Muller currently lodged in 2nd place. Klaus Bachler in 3rd as well, be looking for a big restart in the Porsche that hasn't literally been prized away from that 3rd place spot all race long. Of course, we saw the likes of Ricardo Casanaiga putting in such a brilliant effort for the first stint, as we await the car, or certainly the pace car, to come into the pit lane. The lights, safety lights, are indeed off. Roman Zamian is effectively the pace car right now. Dexter Muller in 2nd, Klaus Bachler in 3rd, Valente with a huge chance as well. Remember, Team GT scored big at Hungary, but it's all on Roman Zamian now, who rounds the Parabolica, and he'll get them back underway with Dexter Muller just in behind as well. Klaus Bachler in 3rd, watching it all unfold. The Team GT Mercedes as well in behind. Roman Zamian puts the hammer down, and he will put pedal to the metal for the 4th time in this race at Monza. And as they head down the straight now in towards what will be the first chicane, it is going to be Roman Zamian, Dexter Muller, 7/10ths back. What about Steve Jans, who's right in the mix with David Fuminelli as well, who's challenging Benji Hites? They head down now in towards towards turn 1. Zamian in front. Fuminelli, he's up into 6th place. He's now side by side with Steve Jans. But I tell you what, incredible scenes as all cars skip off into the grass. Now Stanislav Jedlinski, Marcin Jedlinski, should I say, further back as well. Jamie Stanley in the heart of the action. Benitez rendered uncomfortable in that first chicane as they round the Curva Grande. It is Zamian on top, Muller in behind as well. Backler in second. He's moved up ahead of Muller. Further back as well, Valente as well getting into the mix, going side by side. Has to take the escape road too. Fuminelli, he's right up there. He's closing by the moment.
Glenn Van Berlo, Oregon, they were last. They had a disastrous start. The Dutchman, the championship leader, is now up into 10th place. The German cars here at the Italian home of motorsport, they dominated qualifying. We had Mercedes 1-2. We had the Porsche up there as we see Backler trying to make a move on the outside of Roman Zyman. And here in the dying stages of race 1, the Ferrari will do I speak too soon. They were in the lead. Scratch that. Roman Zyman has now been passed, and Backler, Team Dynamic Motorsport, has gone through to take the lead. 10 minutes to the checkered flag. Well, it looked as though the favourite, the fan favourite, the Ferrari, would come home with a fairy tale victory, but that move was ominous right there from Klaus Backler. 10 minutes to the checkered flag of race 1, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. A stunning move down into the Ascari chicane, and Klaus Backler is gone. He's already got a good 50, 80, make that 100 metres. Team Dynamic in car 24 will check the gap as they come across the line. There's Valente in the background, also trying to round up Roman Zyman, who's in trouble here. He was leading off the restart there side by side, down into the chicane. The gap is 3 seconds here in the rain. Valente into second. Zymian back into third. Fuminelli, we picked it. He was back in 16th earlier on in the race. 7th off the restart. He is in position 4. This was the move that gave Dynamic Motorsport in the Porsche, the sole Porsche in this penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. It is what gave Klaus Backler the lead. Down into the Ascari chicane around the outside. Roman Zymian tried to defend but could not do it. Dynamic Motorsport, position 1. It was a yellow flag at turn 2. As the 2 Oregon cars go side by side and both decide to cut the chicane. Oh, he's been collected big time by Jedlinski. What an almighty crash into the gravel. Marcin Jedlinski, that 777 Olympic racing Audi, and Janine Schaffner as well. The 9 Mercedes, which was running in the top 5 for Get Speed. Janine Schaffner parked in the grass with no front end. The safety car has been deployed once again. It has all come alive in the dying stages. Klaus Backler has got the lead. Valente in second. Well, the Ferrari was leading when we went green a few moments ago, but once again, the German cars run 1-2 here at the home of the Italian Grand Prix. Backler, Valente, Zymian, relief for Roman with the safety car intervention. The 2 Oregon cars side by side. Wow, in the background, Jedlinski, bang, runs right into the back of Janine Schaffner, comes back onto the circuit and has taken out. Wow. Glenn Van Berlo, the championship leader, parked in the gravel. They were recovering. They were back into 10th place. A despondent Carol Bash and the Olymp Racing team. The medical team attending to Janine Schaffner. She was collected at right angles at one almighty speed down into turn 1. The safety car obviously out on the circuit, and this will take some time to clear up. Now concern for Janine Schaffner at the moment after taking over the wheel of the Get Speed Mercedes from Moritz Krantz, who drove a brilliant first stint. That's irrelevant at the moment because Janine Schaffner is still down in the car and being attended to. Glenn Van Berlo in car 19, still showing in position 8 behind Benjamin Hites. In fact, he's still there. So is there damage to the championship leader? Was turned around by a car that had no brakes down into turn 1 in the rain. So the order is Klaus Backler, Alain Valente, Roman Zamian, Porsche, Mercedes, Ferrari. In fact, Ferrari's in 3rd and 4th because there is David Fumanelli, 1-3-3 from 16th earlier in the race. Up into 10th, up into 7th, now into 4th. He passed 3 cars on the previous restart. It will be a sprint to that checkered flag at the end of this one. After, finally, we do get the track cleaned up under the direction of our race director, Mr. Alessandro Ferrari, who's been officiating races way back since the 1970s. He's got this situation under control. Got a glimpse of Pascal Bachmann, Leo Lucas, Stanislav Jedlinski still circulating. Well, showing on our screen in 14th place. I'm not sure that's correct, to be perfectly honest. We lost Adam Osaka, Giuseppe Cipriani earlier on in the race to Folco and Joe Osborne parking the McLaren at the end of the straight. Backler with the race lead. Carnage here in the rain, the lightly falling rain, which is forecast to clear tomorrow, thankfully, for qualifying and race 2. That's good to see. Out of the car is Janine Schaffner, the British-American driver, or the American Brit. There was the Union Jack on her race suit. But importantly, she is okay, which is great to hear. She was collected with one almighty crash, one almighty thump, whack into the side of the Get Speed Mercedes. The car is out. She is out of the car, but thankfully, Janine Schaffner is okay. The AF Corsa car of Jamie Stanley on your screen. Position 9, the British GT veteran, has raced in just about every GT championship in Europe in the past couple of decades. Klaus Bachler, 4.5 minutes away from an historic victory here in the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. Almost identical conditions to 2021. The 2 races last year, of course, 2C's Motorsport taking the outright victory in race 1 with Martin Kodrich and Ethan Simeone and Fabrizio Crestani and Benjamin Hites. They took race 2 1 year ago. Benjamin Hites on your screen at the moment. Through the chicane, and bang, that's one almighty crash. Turned around a complete 360. That car cannot be healthy, but it may not matter because we are just getting word from race control. The race has been red flagged. The race has been red flagged with 3 minutes and 46 seconds remaining. Debris littered all over the circuit into the first chicane here at Monza. There is Janine's car. Severe damage to the front end of the Get Speed car. Doesn't look too bad, but believe me, the bottom of that chassis will be a mess. The red flag has been thrown here in the dying stages of race 1, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. So we are waiting for word from race control. The race has been red flagged. We go back a few seconds. 4 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock. The order when it was thrown, Klaus Bachler, P1 in the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche, Alain Valente, P2, and Roman Zamian in P3. David Fumanelli will be immensely frustrated. And there is confirmation. The race will not restart. Dynamic Motorsport have won. There is the race-winning car. Riccardo Cazzaniga wins it together with Klaus Bachler. Porsche, there is only one Porsche in the race. It is on your screen. It has won. What a sensation here this afternoon. One of the most up and down events in recent history in GTOpen International. The race-winning car parked out on the circuit with the track all to himself. Klaus Bachler takes victory together with Riccardo Cazzaniga here in race 1, the penultimate round of the series. The driver who was born here in Monza, Riccardo, the former Euro Formula Open racing team driver, Dynamic Motorsport, back with us in the GTOpen International Championship. The red flag has been thrown. They do deserve it, to be perfectly blunt, although the car behind there is Murat Charadaroglu and David Fumanelli. They may well disagree with that statement. Klaus Bachler steps out of the 24 Porsche. Dynamic Motorsport take the victory. Race 1 here at Monza.
Great job. Good job.
Alain Valente home in second place.
Ich war nicht sicher, weil der
Klaus and the Dynamic Motorsport team celebrate, along with Ricardo, on their return to GTOpen International, and it's P1.
Well done, Robert. Well done.
So these are the results of race 1. Klaus Bachler takes the victory with Ricardo Katzaniga. Florian Scholz, Alain Valente and Roman Simon. Axel Jeffries for Kessel Racing come home in third. What could have been for Murat Chouadaroglu and Fulminelli fourth. Then it was Muller and Metler, Bo and Jans. Gilardoni, the championship leader, incredibly comes home in seventh. Hites and Pulcini, their teammates behind Kevin and Glenn. Janine Schaffner, despite that accident, is classified in ninth place with Moritz Kranz and Laurent Demeus, and Jamie Stanley for AF Corsa, the Ferrari, in 10th place. Jedlinski Bash there in 11th. Of course, we have gone back a lap with the red flag being thrown. Ruakabina, Conrad, Erlen Zanotti, Pascal Bachmann. The lone stint for 007, Ellison, Lucas, Jedlinski, Kosanowski, Moss, Osborne, they retired along with James Rowe, Alberto Di Folco, Lou and Yo. Adamo Sega and Giuseppe Cipriani out on the first lap. So the championship looks like this. Gilardoni and Glenn Van Berlo, 1-0-3. Pulcini and Hites, 1-0-1. So despite a forgettable afternoon, they still lead the championship, increasing it, in fact, by 1 point. Third place here this afternoon, Roman Simon and Axel Jeffries for Kessel Racing. P2 for Florian Scholze and Alain Valente. And a deserving winner on return to GTOpen International, Ricardo Katzaniga and Klaus Bachler, who are down in pit lane now.
Klaus Bachler, Ricardo Katzaniga, you are the newcomers and already on top in this quite crazy race. Klaus, you were driving, no, it was Ricardo driving at the beginning. Ricardo, the boy from Monza, interesting first part of the race as well.
Yeah, generally had a quite very good start. The pace was good. I think we managed it very well. There was, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 safety car. Okay, so that was a mess, but we managed it well. And then after every restart, I think we stayed quite calm to manage every restart. And then Klaus got in the car, and the pace was good, the car was good, the balance was on point, and we did a really nice feeling for the win here in Monza, and happy with it.
And Klaus, of course, after the pit stop, there was not a lot of racing, but it was tough anyway.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the conditions out there were not so easy. I think this is also the reason why we had a lot of safety cars. I mean, first of all, I'm really happy that we could come here and win this race. It's really nice for the team because they are not so far from here located. Also, Ricardo is living 5 minutes away from here. So I'm happy for all of us. In the end, I have good memories with Monza. The last times I was here, we were always winning, so I'm really happy about this. And yeah, let's see how it is tomorrow. We look forward to it. We don't know yet how the conditions will be, but we are ready for it and looking forward.
For now, well done, guys, and come back soon. Podium.
A downright bizarre race here at Monza, race 1, starting under wet conditions. Yannick Metler from pole position led the field up to the line. They raced to green, and then all hell broke loose. Ricardo Katzaniga going straight ahead into the chicane. And Kevin Gilardoni going around a complete 360, the championship leader out in the grass at the end of the first lap. Adam Osaka coming together with Giuseppe Cipriani and Christian Korsanowski. Cipriani and Osaka were out before just a few hundred metres. At the restart, Metler pulled away. Leonardo Pulcini trying everything to go by, but could not do it. At times, it resembled a speedway race. Door handle to door handle, fender to fender. It was brilliant racing. Honda on their return to the GTOpen International Championship with the two Chinese debutants. They were running in a strong 14th place until that moment right there. Yannick Metler handing over to Dexter Muller. Axel Jeffries drove superbly, as ever did the Zimbabwean. The two Oregon cars coming together, and this was the moment. Bang! When the 777 car, Stanislav Marcin Yudlinski, I should say, brought out the safety car after he ran into not one but two cars, the Oregon car of the championship leader and also Janine Schaffner. Fortunately, she was okay. Klaus Bachler, who had just taken the lead a few moments prior, held on to take victory in Dynamic Motorsports' return to GTOpen International.
Seconda posizione assoluta per il team GT con Alain Valente e Bernard
Third place for Roman Zymian and Axel Jeffries. The first Ferrari here at Monza, of course, for Kessel Racing.
di questa gara al debutto stagionale dell'International GTOpen con il team Dynamic Motorsport, Klaus Bachler e Riccardo Cazzaniga. Sale sul podio per il team Dynamic anche Giulia.
Second place, Florian Scholze and Alain Valenti for Team GT, and the race winners here for Dynamic Motorsport in the Porsche. Klaus Bachler from Austria, and the boy born here in Monza, Riccardo Cazzaniga. Standing in the rain on the podium here at Monza. 6 drivers representing 3 different teams and 3 different manufacturers as well. The race red flagged 4 minutes and 17 seconds from the scheduled finish. Klaus Bachler taking the lead just a few hundred meters and a few seconds before the red flag was flown. And Cazzaniga and Klaus Bachler win here race 1, the penultimate round of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship.
E allora hanno preparato le macchine del ballaggio da mettere in esposizione e oggi e domani.
Che avventura quella gara lì,
C'era John che aveva i capelli in piedi.
Guys, we there, as a team manager, we did the craziest race ever here in Monza with a GPI racing club. There was
So the Pro-Am podium
it was like a
to now proceed.
Adesso per il podio della classe Pro-Am, sul terzo gradino del podio per Kessel Racing, David Fumanelli e Murat Nuriggiano.
So the Pro-Am podium here as the drivers make their way out in the rain across the gantry here at Monza.
Posizione per i loro compagni di squadra, Axel Jeffries e ancora una volta Roman Zymian.
Third place and oh so close to an outright podium and possibly a victory. Third place in Pro-Am, David Fumanelli and Murat Turadaroglu. Second place, Roman Simon and Axel Jeffries. And winning the Pro-Am category, second outright as well. In car 33 for Team GT, Alain Valente and Florian Scholze.
Celebrazioni dunque con la vittoria Alain Valente e Florian Scholze per quanto riguarda la vittoria della classe Pro-Am.
So Mercedes take out the Pro-Am category. Ferrari second and third in the Pro-Am class here in race 1. 3 races, of course, to go in 2022. We'll be back, hopefully, on a drier circuit tomorrow. And, of course, Barcelona. Well, it never rains in Spain, does it not? That's the championship final in a few weeks' time. Good drive from Murat Çuradaroglu. The Turk thoroughly deserves that. Sharing the car with David Fulminelli. We'll also present you with the AM podium as well. As the rain eases up ever so slightly. Alexander Rakowina and Martin Conrad not only taking the AM category victory, but also finishing a superb 12th outright as well in what was a bizarre race here at Monza. Don't forget, we have qualifying tomorrow morning, hopefully on a dry circuit, and race 2 tomorrow afternoon in around 24 hours' time. As the AM drivers cross the gantry to stand on the podium here this afternoon. 3rd place, Pascal Bachmann, doing the solo effort here this afternoon, taking both stints, and 3rd outright. Oh, sorry, 3rd in the class, 14th outright. 2nd is Stephen Earl and the local driver Erwin Zanotti, and taking the victory, Alexander Rakowina and Martin Conrad in the Mann-Filter AMG Mercedes. Thanks for watching the penultimate round, race 1 here at Monza. We'll be back to do it all tomorrow, qualifying and race 2, the penultimate round of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship. Thank you for watching. We'll see you then.